Manpower inventory and its analysis. As earlier we have mentioned that inventory gives us the idea about what is existing. So, when we are talking about the inventory and its analysis, then prepare an inventory which is focusing on the type of work which is carried out in the organization presently, what are the requirements of this work which is presently carried out by people, what is the new manpower you are expecting, so how many people, how many new people we want, and what are the qualities we are expecting. It means the skills and the knowledge we are expecting from them. How many people you want, that is a number, and the positions we are going to have. The number means maybe we want 10 teachers but 2 assistant teachers we want, and then full-fledged 8 teachers we want. So, we have to think about the number and the positions when we are into the preparation of the manpower inventory. The third question which is to be addressed is, what all competencies you are expecting from a person who is going to be appointed in your school or colleges. What kind of competencies our present people they have? Can we make use of these competencies of existing people for our expansion? So, once we try to answer these questions, then our inventory will be more clear. The next step in the process comes is a recruitment and selection. In the process of recruitment, we are giving the details what we want for the organizations. So, while recruiting, first thing what we do is that we identify the source of supply. The sources of manpower supply can be external sources, or this supply they can be internal sources. The outside sources are there when you are appointing people for a particular job, or maybe as earlier we have mentioned that we just outsource the work. The another is the internal sources. There can be a chances or there is a possibility of transferring people from one organization or one department to other departments. Usually in government setups, the transfers of the teachers takes place from one school to another school. The second is the collection of data which is required for the manpower. So, different departments. So, supposing it is a big school, then we have said that it has a different sections. So, maybe language sections, science section, mathematics section. So, how many teachers they want to perform their activities or to complete the task. When it is a recruitment, then the data is gathered by the management. So, when the management is asking for the recruitment, then each department will provide their requirements to the principal, and via principal it will ultimately go to the management. Now, after the analysis of this data, the management will invite applications for these different posts. Invitation of applications from a suitable candidate is again a job of the human resource department, or sometimes the school management can directly give the advertisement. After the applications are received by the organization, then the further procedure starts. After receiving the applications, the first step takes place in the organization is screening of application. In the screening of application, it is scrutinized whether the candidate who have applied for a particular position, they fulfill the given criteria or they do not fulfill the given criteria. For example, if in the advertisement it is mentioned that a teacher candidate must have minimum 60% marks in degree, then here in the process of screening it will be checked whether the candidate has really got 60% or not. The candidate may have a degree, but candidate may not have 60%. So, in this screening, usually 60% it is the eligibility criteria which is given by the organization, whether it is fulfilled by the candidate or it is not fulfilled by the candidate, that is checked out. If the criteria is not fulfilled by the candidate, then those applications, they are kept aside, or rather they are rejected. Then the references are checked. Usually in the organizations, the references are asked, and these references are checked by many institutions before they conduct the interviews or the selection procedure. So usually they cross check the references. After this, then the interviews are scheduled, and when the interviews are scheduled, the first is the committee is decided. So approval by the committee is one more step. First is the committee is formed. There are some norms which are given, and on the basis of these norms, the committees are formulated or the committees are set up. So formation of committee again is very important part of the recruitment process. The next is the conduction of examination. Different organization, they have different rules for the conduction of examination. Like in some organization, they have different levels. They have written test, then followed by group discussion, and then followed by the personal interviews. In some organization, it can be direct interview. In some organization, it can be written test followed by interview. In teaching, nowadays for the recruitment process, usually the lessons is being observed by principal or supervisor, and which is then followed by personal interview. So these are the steps of the examination, and the different organization, they follow different steps. So the candidate, if they go through the process of written examination followed by interview, the interviews are carried out by a committee, and then committee gives approval or committee gives the report, and on the basis of some criteria, the candidates are selected. The committee, they select the candidates, and after that, in some cases, there is a medical examination. So after the selection by the committee, the candidate has to undergo the medical examination, and after the medical examination, the placement is given. When any management has many schools, then they can place these teachers in different schools. In a sense, suppose they have 2 or 3 schools, one is on a western suburb, one is in a central suburb, so they may ask candidate their preference, or according to their requirement, they can place this candidate in any of their schools, because these schools are managed by the same management. So the placement is given to the candidate according to the requirement. So if 2 posts are there, so one is a western suburb and one is a central suburb, then the candidate's opinion is taken, and usually they prefer to give what candidate wants. After the selection and the placement, it is the development of manpower which is very important, and this step starts. So manpower development plays very crucial role, rather very significant role, right from the adjustment of the individual till the different skills he developed and he execute those skills. So for the manpower development, there are different types of trainings which are given. We have induction training program, we have orientation training program, then for in-service teachers we have refresher training program or refresher courses. So there are so many different types of training programs are taking place. Now let us see what is induction training. The induction training program or induction in the manpower development is defined as: induction is concerned with introducing the employee with job, fellows, different departments, general instructions and specific instructions. Induction is a training program wherein the organization tries to help newly appointed candidate, and they orient to the candidate about the different departments. Now why it is necessary? The induction is necessary because the person who is newly appointed is not aware of anything. Similarly, he or she is also not aware that what other departments are there and what is their job. Now in the induction, it is basically a professional socialization process. So once the candidates are appointed, we try to orient them about what is our organization, what are the goals of our organization, what are different departments which are there. Then there are some rules which are followed by every organization. So what are these rules which are usually followed? So these are general rules. Now this person maybe as a part of a school is working and then follow the general instruction, but there can be some specific instructions which are related to specific departments. So these specific instructions are also given to the candidate. So that is one thing wherein we are giving information about the different departments, the functioning of different departments and the role. Another part of this induction program is getting introduced and get to know each other. So the newly appointed person introduce himself or herself with other people who are working, and other people also get to know that some new person has come. Now this help to interact with seniors as well as newly appointed teacher to the education manager, because this is where the education manager try to bridge gap between the seniors and juniors. So it's one kind of accepting a new person in the organization, and that's why this induction program is very important. Another importance of this induction program is that because we are orienting people about the organization, they feel comfortable as they have got some information about the organization. If they are not oriented, then through their trial and error they will try to find out the information about other departments, but they will have to give lot of their time and energy to collect information from each department. Now because our induction is a very planned, therefore automatically they are getting information in a minimum time span, and they also get to interact with people who are already working in the departments. Induction is one type of training. Now besides this, we also have other training programs. Now basically in any organization, when we are talking about manpower development, it's a training which plays very important role. So let us see why the training is needed, or what is the importance of training. The first thing is that training increases the productivity. Training actually makes things very clear to the person that what is expected from him or her. Because now let us see why training is needed. The first and the most important thing is that training increases productivity. Now how training increases productivity? We have to look into two ways. The first thing, we talk about the orientation training. Now when it is orientation training, it means the teachers are newly appointed, so they do not have any experience of teaching, or maybe if they have any, it is in other organization where this organization might be different from ours. So when it is a orientation, then teacher has a clear picture about what she is expected to do. When we have a refresher training program, it means the teachers who are already in the field, they are given training programs. We know that the education field is influenced by all the changes which are occurring in the society. So maybe it can be social change, it can be cultural change, it can be technological change. Now with this changing scenario, education field is also changing. It is not only changing, the social demands are different. So society is not expecting education only to impart knowledge, but it is also expecting that the school should provide us new skills which are coming in with the changing scenario. So for this, the teachers who are already in the field are given training. For example, nowadays we say that all of us are stressed out because of lot of work which is to be performed. The teacher's job is not exception. The teacher has to perform n number of activities, or she has to complete so many things. So teaching, learning, evaluation, maybe she has to keep records of students, she has to talk to parents, so many things are there. Now when we are talking about the stress, we know that because the teachers are unable to manage their time along with the number of work which they have to do, then it gives her the stress. So maybe there can be a training on the stress management skills, there can be training on the time management skills which are necessary for every individual. So that's why once teachers they understand or they know how to manage the stress, automatically they can smoothly complete their work. So therefore we say that the training increases the productivity. When we orient people, then people get clear vision what they have to do. So they are not into the process of trial and error and learning things. And because the vision is clear, they can directly perform their task as per the expectations. The training also enhances the morale of teachers. We always expect that the teacher must be enthusiastic. The enthusiastic means she should eager to learn new things which are happening, because the new generation who is coming, they know so many things, and therefore the teacher's job is that they should be enthusiastic. When the trainings are conducted in the organization in a regular interval, then the teachers they get to know what is happening in the field, and because they get the latest information about what is happening in the field, therefore they can give justice with the job. And also it happens that certain new things which are coming in, which probably are not made available to teachers, or teachers are not aware of something which is new happening in the field of education. Now this is training is a platform which gives teacher the information which can be learnt, or it is the platform which help teachers to learn new skills. Now once individual learn something new, they know that they are on par. They also get the feeling that yes, we can do it, and therefore their enthusiasm continues. So that's how training helps in enhancing or increasing the teacher morale. The training also reduces the supervision at the part of manager. Now why? Because when people are newly appointed, then their time always go in trial and error and then learn. Now once we have conveyed the expectations, then the teachers they work towards that goal, and every teacher wants to complete her job in a proper way. Now this help us to reduce our supervision. So every now and then we don't have to ask whether she or he has done this thing or he or she has not done this thing, because we have already made goal very clear, and that is the reason the inductive training programs are very important. It prevents some accidents or breakage. Now usually in the education setup, probably we can consider this example when we are orienting students in the laboratory. We have the chemistry laboratory, or in the science laboratories many chemicals are placed. Now if students are not aware what is the place of the acids, then there are chances of accidents. So usually whenever we are having new students, we orient them regarding this, or maybe every year the lab orientation is conducted by the schools. Now the same case is applicable in production sector. So in production sector there are some departments wherein the processes are going on, and when chemical processes are the part, that time this point has to be taken care. So in education also we need to have this when it is specifically related to the laboratories. This training also increases the organization stability and the organizational flexibility. We have already seen that the teachers who are already working and the teachers who are joining the school newly. Now what happens when the teachers are joining the schools, they are not aware of what exactly is to be done. Now because they can communicate with their seniors, then things are little easy for them. So therefore the organization can be stabilized, so their functioning can be smooth. And the flexibility, in a sense, if we come to know that a newly appointed teacher is interested in taking some new job, then that role can be assigned to her. So it means there can be a flexibility if we have a proper training. There are various methods of the training which are being used by the organization. The one is known as on the job training and the other is known as off the job training. The on the job training methods. The on the job training methods are very specific. If there is a specific job which is to be performed, then only related to that specific job the training is given. The second mode is providing experiences. If the organization give exposure to teachers, then only they can learn. So experiences plays very important role in the training process. Experience. When the organization provide experiences to the training, then automatically they learn things. So experiences or opportunities has to be given by the organization to the teachers. This will help them to explore the world and explore their own field. And that's why experience also can be used as one of the training strategy or training method. Coaching is the another method of training. Now in the coaching, usually it is a superior who guides the newcomer, and under the supervision a person carry out the particular task, and that's why it is known as coaching. The advantage is here is that because the senior person already know the work, already know the small gaps in particular task, or maybe knowing certain tricks of doing things quicker, then that knowledge of that senior person is very helpful to the junior person. Understudy is another method. Now in understudy, the person or a new teacher takes up some study, and while doing this some study, there is again someone or the mentor is there to help them. Now in the process of understudy, it is more experiential learning, and this experiential learning help them to understand a system in a better way, or rather to learn some new skills. Then job rotation. We have mentioned that there are some jobs and these jobs are assigned. When we are talking about the training, it is one of the most widely used technique, because what happens when particular subject is taught by a teacher over a period of time, then it brings in a little mechanical or maybe little rigidity in her teaching. When the job is rotated, it means if she is teaching for the 10th A for last 5 years, maybe we can give her 10th B, maybe we can give her 10th C. If the teacher is graduated in 2 subjects, then maybe we can ask her to teach English this year, maybe Hindi next year. So job rotation prepares people to take up different jobs. That is how they learn new skills. They also revise content, they also learn new content, and therefore job rotation is also very important, or rather it is very effective technique of training. There are some more trainings which are there. The special task or special job training. When we talk about the short term planning, we say that the short term planning are for specific jobs. Now when these specific jobs require only specific types of skill, then we give training only for that particular thing. So in that way, say for example, suppose now we want to teach students how to make a movie, and we are giving them a camera, asking them to do it. So this is a very small activity for which we have trained students how to handle camera. So likewise, even for the teachers, we can have these small task oriented skills which are to be developed through training. So this is another way of training teachers. Now coming to the off the job training. There are special courses which can be joined by teacher so that these teachers, they can learn new things. Also organization, they arrange some special lectures and these lectures are very helpful for them. So these are off the job training. Then we have the conferences. Mostly the education organizations, they send their teachers to attend different conferences. The main intention of the organization is that the teachers need to update her knowledge, she needs to update her skills, and that's why they are sent to different conferences. So this is another way of providing training. Case studies is one more type of training which is given. In the case studies, usually the teachers are expected to undertake a study. This study can be from her own classrooms. So maybe if the students are not able to achieve particular goal, then she has to carry out the case. So here she needs to understand the child's problems in a holistic way. Once it is understood in a holistic way, then identification of its or coming out to the solutions becomes easy, and a good solution can be sorted out with this because a case study gives her the in-depth information. The last training, that is off the job training method, is sensitivity training. Nowadays we are talking about globalization. We are talking about global citizenship. Now this global citizenship demands different competencies to be developed among teachers, and of course for every individual they are necessary. Now these sensitivity training programs are organized either in-house or maybe there are some consultants who are taking these sensitivity training programs in different schools. For example, we expect that the teacher should respect all cultures. So therefore the cultural competency has to be enhanced. And for this, the sensitivity training program through different activities, through sensitizing methods is implemented, and the teacher is culturally competent or she make culturally competent by putting her into the sensitivity program. So sensitivity programs are usually associated with the emotional part of it, and therefore lot of sensitivity training programs are carried out by different education institutions. So staffing is the process which directly influence the process of controlling and directing. So if we can choose right people at right time at right place, then the organizations can smooth extremely well, and once they can functions in a smooth way, then they can achieve their goals very successfully and they can keep the next goal for them. So the staffing is the process which is actually created by people so that they can work together and they can accomplish their goal. Thank you.